And I
I didn't hear
believe
that.
we are live. This is Ring the Bell podcast number 4. We're here to discuss some fantastic fights over the weekend. I'm here with Nathan, my co-host. How are you, Nathan, man?
I'm fine, mate. How are you?
I am good. What an exciting weekend of boxing that was. There were so many fights, so many things to watch. I've taken literally till now to catch up on all of it, man. You're probably the same, I bet.
Oh yeah, I've been too much this week.
So I was thinking we should probably start with the USA card so that we can build anticipation for the biggest fight that most of our viewers will think is the Eubank Groves fight. We'll probably discuss that at the end. So with that in mind, I was going to start with the Ray Robinson versus Ugas fight. Did you happen to catch that one?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, good
I,
good
I
little
was in,
scrap this one, I thought.
I was impressed with you guys. He put Robinson down in the first round, or it was a flash
Yep,
knockdown.
yep, yep.
Then, then was it the fifth round? He put him down twice, and then in the seventh round he stopped it. Is that right?
I believe that's right. I think maybe you only put him down once in the fifth, but I think you're right with that. It was a very good scrap for how long it lasted. Ray Robinson looked pretty good in there at times. His boxing, he was outboxing Ugas at moments, but Ugas had a lot more power, and that caught up by the end of the fight. It kind of looked like it was going that way after the first knockdown, but Ray Robinson boxed well between then and the next knockdown. So it was a good little fight whilst it lasted. Ugas looks good. He's had 5 wins in a row now since coming back to boxing. So hopefully they look to put him in a big fight. There's some interesting guys at welterweight. He adds something to that mix. I think when you've got that sort of power, you're definitely one to watch out for. That has to be said for sure. So yeah, great stoppage by Ugas. It's not a lot much more to say on this fight, so we will quickly move it on. Did you see David Benavidez versus Ronald Garville?
I didn't get to watch it.
Ah, well, this was a good little fight. David Benavidez, he's an interesting one for me. He's a talent at 168. There is no doubt about that. And he's got a good snap on his punches, got a good snappy jab. But I personally think he's going to come unstuck against the likes of Groves, De Hale, the true top 168s who can really box and move. I think they're going to give him some serious problems. So, but it was a good knockout. He got a good stoppage win in this fight, and he moves on to bigger and better things. Really, I'm interested to see who he fights next because uh, he's got to be matched right. He's beaten Ronald Garville. I think he beat him more. Well, it was more convincingly this time round. The first time he beat him on a split decision, and this time it was a unanimous decision. I said he got the knockout. I'm not sure why I said that. There's just been so many fights. Some reason I thought he got a stoppage too, but he looked uh, he looked real good at least. So uh, it's a weird thing about David Benavidez.
He's so
I
young. Do you know what I mean?
He is. That's the thing. He's 21, right? And I think he's going to burst the super middleweight division. I don't think he's going to be in that division in 3 years. Because I think he probably already struggles to make the weight a bit, and he's still going to
Yeah.
develop his man strength over the next
But isn't it
sort of three,
amazing how
four years.
young he's won that title anyway? I mean, you've got to give him props for winning that title so
Oh,
young.
100%. He's a class talent, right? But uh I I still think he's got to be built the right way. I don't think you can just chuck him in with anyone now. Like I think you still got to find him the right the right fights, because there's certain boxers in that division who could potentially do a number on him, and you don't want him to get a stupid loss when it's not really necessary.
Yeah, but
So he's
looking at his
ranked 10th.
record, I mean,
He's ranked, so at the moment he's ranked 10th in the world, right? You've got Groves 1, Ramirez 2, Eubank Jr. 3. I think that's really stupid. Callum Smith 4, Jesse Hart 5, Andre Durrell 6.
Tyron Zeke, you know,
yeah,
all these guys, unifications. Andre, well,
to be honest with you, yeah, Tyron Zoider, he can fight. Truex, he can fight, yeah. Sure. I don't disagree with those, right? But I wouldn't put him in with Andre Durrell yet. That's the sort of fight I wouldn't put him in there yet, because Andre Durrell is a very, very, very tricky boxer, and he can out someone like David Benavidez in the right way. Same with George Groves. I'd be very worried. Sure, sure, and
it's a little bit of a step.
Sure, I think it's a step up, but I think that's the right sort of step up. I'm just looking at Jesse Hart here on.
Do you think he should beat DeGale now? No, he wouldn't, would he? He wouldn't beat DeGale now.
Not yet. No, I wouldn't put him in with DeHale. DeHale's still got to come back from injury and prove himself, right? He actually has a rematch clause with Truex, but I wouldn't put him in with a tricky boxer yet. That's what I'm saying. I'd keep David Benavidez fighting. I'd fight him another Ronald Garville, someone who's going to come and test him all night, but someone he should beat. Yeah, so we should move on. There's another interesting fight on the American cards, which was Egidijus. I can't even say that name, but Egidijus Cavaliuskas. What a crazy name. But he knocked out in quite stunning, stopped in quite stunning fashion, David Avanesian. And do you see this fight, bro?
I did. I saw most of it. It was only 5 rounds. Basically, in the fight, Avanesian from the second round onwards was hurt by the guy. What was his name again? This Michigan.
Egidijus Cavaliuskas.
Just call him Ed. Ed will do.
We'll call him Eddie.
From the second round onwards, Eddie put the pressure on. You could see that Avanesian was hurt, and it was a good finish. It was a really, really good finish.
It was. He stepped on it, didn't he? He knew if he this is my chance. He probably, if the fight had continued, he might have gassed himself out because he was throwing so many punches. But he knew, this is my moment. I've got to stop him now or never. And he got it, and it was a good knockout. He's actually quite. I was surprised. I thought Avanesian was supposed to be. I think he must have been favourite.
Well, he's
for
a
this
former
fight,
world
right?
champion.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He must have been favourite for this fight. So I thought we'd been into an easy Avanesian win. I've never heard of a fella, to be honest, but great win, great knockout, great stoppage. He moves on to better things, and Jesus, David Avanesian's taken a bad loss out of nowhere and has to start again, really, doesn't he?
Yeah, he was very fortunate to win a world title, wasn't he? Really, even a regular version. You've got to be honest and say that.
I will have to go and check his box rec because I'll be completely honest. I don't really know much about Avanesian.
He won the WBA regular title about.
Oh yeah,
title about 2 years ago against some guy.
Charlie Navarro. Yeah.
Yeah, and then he lost to Peterson. Yeah, he was never had any real pedigree.
And he fought Shane Mosley in 2016. Yeah.
But Shane Mosley is about.
I do remember all of this. That's exactly. Yeah, he doesn't seem to be quite I thought he was quite good, but from looking at his record here, I'm not sure why I thought that. He's not beaten the creme de la creme of boxing. So
and he fights in
Britain, interesting. Sure. His residence is in Nottingham, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
the other guy's got some future.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I wouldn't even mind seeing. So
Don't
they
say
call
they
him the
can't.
meat machine. That's easy. That's easy. Right. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight that Ugas guy.
Ooh, yeah, I think he did. It's pretty close.
A good fight. Both of them can throw a power punch. So both.
Did you see Shaka Stevenson? He was good.
Shaka Stevenson back in.
Yeah, he looks really good.
Yeah, I actually see his fight, but I have it.
I did. Yeah, it was brilliant.
I have it in my watch later.
Brian Jennings
on YouTube
was also on the card as well.
Yes,
and he took 3 rounds to get rid of some fat journeyman from wherever he's from.
Yeah, I saw that. I wasn't even going to bring that one up because it was so. Brian Jennings is back with a win, but man, that was not good level boxing. I feel like Kugan Cassius could have really beaten that guy.
Okay, we'll move on then, I guess. To the next.
Yes, because there are so many fights to get to. Another interesting fight happened over in the States. Alexander versus Ortiz. Now, this ended in a draw, and I'm not quite sure or why. Because Devon Alexander won this fight very clearly.
Well, it looks in my view.
Yeah, like there's a clear win and then there's a clear win, and this was out as clear a win as anybody could really hope for, and for it to be given a draw is very peculiar. I mean, it just shows sometimes, if you're not the money guy, if you're not the right man, you're not winning the fight no matter what. And that's just a shame because, Alexander gets a tough deal of it. He's had some losses that have been pretty close, if I remember correctly, on points. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. I find that Victor Ortiz was pretty bad in there. Like, he couldn't really do much in a lot of the rounds. It was bizarre for me. We see some bad scoring in the UK, and UK promoters get hammered.
114, 114, 113, 114, 114, 115 with the score. And to me, you've got to say that Alexander won it by at least 3 rounds.
I'd say 184. I'd say 184 personally.
But did you see later in the fight he was putting 3 and 4 punch combinations together? I think Ortiz.
Yeah, he was busting them up. That's the thing.
That's I don't get.
Victor Ortiz spent the night in hospital. It was maybe one of Devon Alexander's more offensive performances in the last few years, and he gets given a draw for it. So
how has he got that far with no power?
Paulie Malignaggi did similar, didn't he? If you're that good at Amir Khan, arguably the same. If you're that good at boxing, it can carry you through no power. Paulie Malignaggi was the best at that. Really, he had absolutely no power. Like
the one knockout win over Shevchenko. The one good knockout win over Shevchenko 8 years.
Sure, but that must have been a punch that came from heaven, or something, because he's renownedly pillow fisted. But if you've got a good boxing brain, you can get through it, can't you? And I think Devon Alexander looked great in this fight. I'm far more interested to see him fight again than Victor Ortiz.
With Alexander, the scary thing is he hasn't aged well as a fighter. He's only 31. He hasn't aged well at all as a fighter. And he had that 2-year period because he had addictions, 9 years ago when he was like different fighter.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. Some people come into their athletic peak when they're younger, and his style is all about his athleticism. So as he ages, he will get worse. But
he'll get a lot worse.
I think he put in a good performance against Ortiz, and I'm more interested to see him fight again than I am Victor Ortiz, because he's pretty terrible in
honest, Ortiz needs to retire. I've said that for a long time, the last 2-3 years. He doesn't want it anymore. Devon Alexander hasn't got that much longer left, does he? Really, when you look at, I don't think he's winning the world title unless he gets some market, a vacant title. You know.
Yeah, he can get a basic bitch belt basically, but he's not getting a full world title.
If he stepped back down to light welterweight, I think he could win a world title. If he stepped down to that division and fought the right person.
Yeah, it's very possible, man.
We'll see what happens.
I don't know. He's too old to step down any further now, but there's some good guys for him to fight out there. Some good up-and-coming welterweight prospects. That'd be interesting, but Broner bums me out, man, as you know.
Yeah, we won't talk about it.
Broner's isn't he in trouble again with the law? Like
he is, yeah.
Literally,
for some sort of assault or something. But
yeah, at some point. That's what I mean. At some point, he's actually just going to get locked up, and then we won't even be able to mention him.
The next thing will be in the next 5 years, he'll be shot fucking dead, and then no one will care. That's what. I think people will care, but it will be like at this point, he's literally just got someone's got to get him and take him away and get him to focus on boxing. Mayweather couldn't do it.
No,
he's blowing it, and he's blowing it royally. You know,
big style. Big style. So, the last big fight on the American card. And I say big fight, but really this was a bit of a... This fight went sort of exactly as I expected it to go. This was Danny Garcia versus Brandon Rios. And what happened was... Well, actually, I tell you what, there was something a little bit unusual in this fight. Brandon Rios was getting to Garcia quite effectively in some rounds. Really, this sounds almost stupid, but Eubank Jr. could do with watching some Brandon Rios fights and watching how he cuts down the ring and how he moves inside on opponents. Watch the footwork, because Brandon Rios is pretty good at that. He always has been. He's always been a come-forward fighter. He's good at it. But Garcia was sloppy in there, man. If Garcia didn't have power, he might have got he may have got outworked towards the end of this fight, because the thing he has that's really good, Garcia, is he's got a left hook from the gods, and someone has somehow given him a good right straight as well, because in this fight he knocked Rios out hard, and it was a good stoppage win. But man, Danny Garcia is not the best boxer in the world at all.
No, but he's had a hell of a career. You know, he's been matched carefully. He's beaten some good opponents. In this fight, I don't think
he's not terrible. He's not terrible, but he's more of a brawler, isn't he? He's got a good counter left hook, and he can brawl, and he's got fast hands.
He's elite welterweight, you know, whether you like it or not.
I don't think he is elite.
Yeah,
because
he is. Because
I don't think so. Yeah, but Furman battered him.
Very close decision. I mean, Garcia, he's probably been lucky to go and defeat in his career. You know, there were times when he fought Khan where Khan could have got him out of there. But what you got to look at is, I mean, his career has been well done, hasn't it? It's been well mapped out. Have you noticed he's always fought for vacant WBC titles? Though?
Sure, that's why he gets the nickname Cherry Garcia, because he's a bit of a cherry pick, isn't he? I mean, I do like him, but I think Keith Thurman beat him fairly convincingly from my eyes, and I think another boxer. I think boxers are always going to do a similar thing to him. He's got a problem against someone who can truly counterpunch from range, because he's looking for that left hook. And if he doesn't get that power shot, Danny Garcia, he can sort of unravel in a fight like he did.
Yeah. In this fight, I don't think he was even trying.
I
He
kind of
stand on the ropes
agree,
on
but
purpose. He wasn't trying.
yeah, I agree, but that's not a good place to be. That's how you
That's when you
get
lose
the
fights
Billy
when you're
Joe
not trying.
Saunders Akavov sort of
Exactly.
stuff happens. Yeah. So I agree with you. I don't think he was motivated for this fight. How could you
Okay, of
be?
course he wasn't.
It's like
Exactly.
Brandon Rios is a fight that he knows he's going to win, and so I agree with you that he didn't look like he was trying. It was a good win in the end, but like I
That right
say,
hand. That right
it
hand.
was brutal,
Brilliant.
man.
Right.
Yeah, it was a great shot. It was a great shot, but
Do you think it was
I
a lucky
do
shot?
still no. I think he no, not really. I think he set it up. You know, I've not seen him land many knockouts with the right hand. It's usually a left hook, but to be fair to him, it was a great shot. It landed sweet and true, and Brandon Rios was scrambled from it. So
But,
it
but
was a good win.
how could this fight be a mandatory an eliminator for the WBC title? Brandon
Well,
Rios.
Brandon Rios, he'd
His record's
he beat.
terrible recently. If you look at his record, it
Yeah,
ain't that good.
I've got it up. I've got it up. He lost to Timothy Bradley Jr., but then he beat Aaron Herrera. So I guess he's probably was still somewhere in the top 15. So it makes
This
some
isn't
sense,
even his natural
man.
division. He's naturally a lightweight, isn't he? You know, so for him to
He
go
used to
ever
be,
since
yeah. He
how
used
long
to
ago was
be.
it?
But
2014 he was a lightweight.
check him.
2013, 5 years ago. Yeah, he was last.
Yeah.
6 years ago, he was last to lightweight when he beat who was it? Martin Murray. Yeah, Martin Murray.
I'm looking here. He lost to Manny Pacquiao at that
Did he
was
fight Martin Murray? Did
2013.
he? Yeah, John Murray. Yeah, John Murray. Yeah, I remember when he fought
John Murray. John Murray. Yeah. He also fought Richard Abreu. That was 2012.
Yeah, Mike Alvarado. He
Super,
had
and
3
then
fights with him, didn't
yeah, that was super lightweight. Yeah. Anyway, man, Brandon Rios put in a good performance at times, but it was inevitable. I think even if Danny Garcia had sort of struggled and not got the knockout, he probably still would have been given a close victory. He was winning some rounds, but at the same time, I don't. He didn't look good in there, Garcia. Like he needs to up his performance from that.
How
That
old
was.
is Garcia now? Is he 28?
Let me just go back on his 29. So yeah. Once you've got flaws in your game that Keith Thurman exposed, and once you're getting tagged by Brandon Rios, I start to worry about you a little bit because, like you say, he has had a long career and he actually has been hit quite a few times in his career because he's not, the most sound defensively. So, in that sense, I do worry about him a little bit against Furman or Spence. I think they both batter him. And that's a real problem.
But
It'd be a good fight,
he'll probably cherry pick some other welterweight who's not that good. Who are the welterweight champions?
Let's have a look. I'm going to click the world rankings. We've got Keith Thurman, Jeff Horn. Now, Jeff Horn, Danny Garcia is a good fight.
Good, that's close. That's a close
fight. Yeah, that's a close fight. I like that fight. But I do think Errol Spence, I think he beats Danny Garcia quite badly, to be honest. After watching what Errol Spence did to Kell Brooks so easily, I worry for anyone that fights Errol Spence, to be honest. I think Errol Spence beats Keith Thurman too.
It'll be close.
Close, but I think he does. I think he's the top dog at welterweight. And I think he will be for a while. I think he's the real deal.
We'll see what happens.
For sure. Right, let us move on to the UK card, actually. We have discussed to death, the American card, I believe. There are a few more fights. There are a few other. Oh no, shit! There is one more fight. We have to talk about Beltran and Moses.
Beltran.
Yeah, Beltran and Moses. So this fight, I couldn't quite believe. Again, like the Alexander fight, I thought was a straight up robbery. This one, I don't really know, man. This was odd scoring. I thought Moses won the fight personally, but I do see people saying I've seen people saying it was close and stuff. So I don't, I don't really know what to make of it fully. But I personally didn't feel Ray Beltran did enough to win the fight. What did you think?
I don't think he did now. Because he got knocked down twice, didn't he? That's correct, isn't it? Yeah, so he got knocked down twice. So if you lose, obviously that's 4 points, isn't it? That you lose the minute you get on. So that should be enough for him to have lost the fight.
Yeah, let me just check that it was 2 knockdowns. Yeah, he surprised me with a couple of good punches, but right away I thought about my family and now I am champion. Yeah, I don't know. I felt like I can't see the knockdowns in pictures, but I
think there are more.
Hmm?
I think they might have just been more flashy knockdowns. I may have had that wrong. If I have that wrong, please tell me in the comments if Mr. Singh's watching.
Sure. I can't. I've watched so many fights in the last 2 days. I literally cannot remember all that well. But I did watch this fight. So I'm guessing yeah. The scores for the fight were 116, 112, 117, 111, and 117, 111, all for Beltran. And a lot of people, when I was watching it on the YouTube video, a lot of people in the comments were saying that they felt Moses was robbed. So it's an odd one, man. I didn't really know what to make of it fully. The scorecards were crazy, absolutely wild and out there. So it's just one of those fights where you just kind of have to write it off. Feel a bit sorry for Moses, but yeah.
That's the end of the line for him as far as it goes now.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Right, let's move on to the UK card. We have the first fight was Willie. Did you see Willie Hutchinson's fight?
I did, yeah. He was wild. He looked wild, didn't he?
I liked him.
He's brilliant. I love watching him fight.
Yeah.
But he needs to learn how to not take headshots so much.
Yes. Defensively he was poor. He reminds me of like a Scottish Linares. He's got good offensive skills. He puts punches together well, but he gets caught and he looks a bit shaky. I mean, we do have to remember. Yes.
The fight was a cruiserweight, wasn't it? So because you're the guy blew up in weight, so
exactly. That's exactly what I was going to say. Is really, to be fair, it was like a weight class and a half difference between them, and you could see it in there as well.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, shit was insane. But a good win. I think he's got a good career ahead of him, but he does really need someone to teach him not to be so reckless. That's a fight he could have got his head taken off in, and he was leaving his head out there a lot. So that's not a good tactic against a truly elite power puncher. He that's it's a risky tactic. Some of those power shots coming in early against him could have knocked him out easily, and he wasn't far away with a few of them. So yeah, I'm interested in Willie Hutchinson's career moving forward, but like you say, he does look wild. He's got a long way to go to learn. Did you see the Joe Joyce Rizek fight?
Oh God, waste of time, waste of everybody's time.
To
I couldn't believe it.
to be fair, Rizik was 5 wins, 1 loss, I
But
believe.
who
Let
would it be
me.
for? Yeah, the records tells you all you need to know.
Well, I suppose, mate. I suppose. Let me have a look. Joe Joyce. I didn't actually check out. Didn't actually check out
It's terrible,
Rudolph Josic's
terrible.
record. Oh right,
But
yeah,
that's
he's
what we
beat.
got.
Oh,
Do you see
he,
what I
he
mean?
beat. He beat. He beat absolutely nobody that anybody's ever heard of. So yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
He is. Look, mate. What are you chatting about? He's the 5th best boxer in Croatia.
And I'm the best beer drinker in my street. Do you know what I mean? That's how much relevance that has.
I'm joking. I know. I'm taking the piss. I'm taking the piss. It's funny stuff. Yeah, fair enough. I thought Joe Joyce looked good in there. He did everything he needed to do. He got quite a brutal stoppage in the end. But you know, he's so slow-footed at times in there. Like he's so big that he's always going to be slow. He's like a throwback heavyweight.
He reminds me of Frank Bruno almost.
In a way, I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. He's very good. He's got good boxing skill. He's clearly well schooled. He can clearly take care of these guys, though. That's the problem. I don't think this. When you're as old as he is, this was a bit of a waste of a fight. He probably should have.
That's what I don't get.
Yeah, he probably should have taken Kevin Johnson, Derek Chisora, someone like that. Someone that's going to take him rounds and teach him the pro game a bit.
Yeah. But what doesn't make any sense is that the way that this level opponent, I suppose it's better for him to stay active than not fight at all. Otherwise, it would have been 6 months, and that would have done him no favours. They need to stick him on deals anyway. Do you know what I mean? Like stick him on an Eddie Hearn show or whatever, because David Hayes quite pally with Eddie Hearn.
Yeah, just get him on often. Get him on all the time. That's what I would say.
But he's set to fight Derek Chisora.
Yeah, it's a great fight. It's a great fight.
I think it's a fight he wins. It's a fight he wins, and it puts the final nail in Derek.
It's a fight he wins because Chisora is absolutely not. Well, the only fight Derek Chisora I think has a chance of winning is a fight that he's angry about, like Dillian White. But I don't think he hates Joe Joyce, and I don't think he'd get angry enough to fight Joe Joyce.
As slow as Joe Joyce is, I think he'd pick Derek Chisora apart and make him quit. I really believe that.
Yeah, I agree too, because Derek Chisora just wouldn't have any motivation for that fight.
If
I don't
this was
think.
Chisora of 2012, Chisora would destroy him. That Chisora would destroy him, I believe. Not destroy him, but that Chisora would win. That motivated Chisora that fought David Haye. Do you agree that Chisora was a much better version? You know, he was a dangerous World Cup, that version.
Yeah, I think it for Chisora it comes down to whether he's motivated by anger or not. When he fought David Haye, he was angry. When he fought, he wasn't that angry when he fought Tyson Fury, and he was terrible. And he wasn't very angry against Ajit Kabayel. Was it Kabayel? Yeah, and he was terrible. When he fights angry, he fights well. I know it's a terrible thing, but it does seem to be true for him. When he's angry,
in boxing,
sure.
If you're only angry when you can fight people, then what are you doing fighting? You know, that's no good for your career. Is it? You've got to be up for it no matter what. You know.
I agree, but
he's got to the stage in his career where he has to fight journeymen who have got terrible records to even record a win. Doesn't that put your career on life support?
Sure, because you're not even going to be up for those fights. 100%. That is how people end up retiring, isn't it? We've seen it many times.
If he's not careful, he'll end up like Williams, fighting for another 10 years, having 45 losses. It's not a
I
good
don't
look
think
for his
he'll
career.
fight that long.
He
No,
needs to
he won't
stop.
do that.
He needs to just
He
look
could.
at Danny Williams' career
He could.
to see
He
what
could.
can.
Yeah, but in the next 2 or 3 years, he could easily make £1 million,
Yeah, but he
and
has
then
to get a couple
retire
of wins first
comfortably.
before. He needs to not
Sure,
take this
sure.
Joe Joyce fight. If Eddie Hearn's got any sense, he won't let him take this fight.
Oh,
Do you understand?
I suppose
If he
so,
loses
man.
this,
But
where does he go if he loses to Joe Joyce? Even though Joe Joyce is an up-and-coming fight, it doesn't look good if you lose to a guy that's only 2-0. Obviously, Joe Joyce that's exceptional circumstance.
I agree. But at this point, Chisora's maybe he's thinking if I lose, I'll retire anyway. Who knows?
But I'd like to see him get a couple of wins against some more journeymen, and then have a big fight against Dillian White. And then when he's done with Dillian White, then.
Oh, but I cannot stand to watch a Derek Chisora 8-rounder against some journeyman from Hungary. I can't watch it. I can hear about it on the news. You can tell me about it, but I cannot watch. It's like watching Paul Smith 8-rounders. I cannot think of anything worse. Truly. Heavyweight 8-rounders against journeymen are show killers. They make the entire live event feel like it's dragging on. To be fair, that's why you don't see many of them on Sky Sports anymore, because they're just so shit.
I know, this is the problem.
That is the problem. I agree with you. It's good for Chisora's career, but it's so bad for TV that no one wants to watch it.
But
So
people always said boxing's a business, and for Chisora, what's his record now?
I'd have to go and check. Yeah, he definitely has. He definitely has.
He lost to that
White.
Adric Cabal, and who else?
Dillian White.
Dillian White. You can't go in.
Oh, he didn't lose his last two fights.
He had a win against the journeyman, didn't he?
Yeah, Robert Filipovich.
See, his record is made up of. Have you noticed? Go look on his record from 2012.
Yeah.
You'll see a record of 4 or 5 wins against journeyman, then he loses a big fight. Then he fights journeyman again, then he does the same thing over and over again.
Jesus.
So you look at.
He fought Danny Williams in 2010.
But Danny Williams was shot in like 2006.
Yeah, I know.
Go back and look at his record. And
I'm on it.
Sam Sexton, I can see what he got. His record. Early in his career, he was quite promising.
To be fair, I feel he beat Hellenius. I felt that was a terrible decision.
But he's fought a who's who of anybody, hasn't he?
He had a good fight against Vitali, didn't he?
Oh yeah, he's really. But again, that's 8 years ago.
Sure.
I remember this.
He beat Malik Scott, but I think isn't that the one when Malik Scott just fell over?
Yeah, it was a bit of a strange fight.
That was fucking weird. Yeah. Kevin Johnson, yeah, lost twice. Tyson Fury. He beat my man Yakov Gospic.
Oh.
When Yakov Gospic had a winning record as well. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, so that's cool, man. That's cool.
Joe Joyce,
that's
to me, what he has to do is, if he gets this fight, he can look at, he'll be world ranked if he wins that fight. I believe, won't he? Or at least get something probably just outside the top 15.
Yeah.
But then there's other people but they've got to be careful how they negotiate his career, haven't they, Joe Joyce? Really.
Chisora's a great fight. I think Dillian White is a good fight later on.
Who would win if he got in there with Daniel Dubois now? What do you think would happen to Joe Joyce?
I think Daniel Dubois is too young, so he probably doesn't have the man strength. I think Joe Joyce has been hit harder than what Daniel Dubois hits right now. I think
we're talking 5 years. By the time Dubois comes along and is a top heavyweight,
Joyce will be retired.
Yeah, exactly. So it's probably a different year.
Yeah, it's so crazy, isn't it? That's the problem when you start at 30. Although, to be fair, I wouldn't be surprised if Joyce was still boxing at 40 because people are getting fitter and fitter these days, aren't they? We have better medicine, we have better health care.
At 32, if you haven't turned pro, like I believe he's turned pro far too. Like, Audley Harrison was 28 when he turned pro.
Yeah.
You see, so I just think, so that's why they're having to rush it.
Yeah.
I'm impressed
I
with him.
personally think the limit for amateur boxing should be 23. I think once you're older than 23, you shouldn't really be boxing for the Olympics or the amateurs anymore anyway.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. It's crazy to me. You've got 35-year-olds turning up at the Olympics.
It's
They've been boxing for 12 years and they consider themselves an amateur.
But it's just a shame that Joe Joyce isn't 7 years younger. Then we could be looking at a future world champion.
Well,
but because he's 32, I don't think he's got long left. His shelf life won't be too long. 3-4 years if he's lucky.
I think he can. No, I think he can box until 40, but it's just.
But what I'm saying is, the options are dwindling with Anthony Joshua. People like that, and Joseph Parker, Hugh. These guys remember, some of these guys are like 9 years younger than him.
Sure, but he can get built into a position to fight some of those guys before he retires.
Like Emmanuel Chart, if he's lucky.
No, he can even. I think he's got 8 to 10 years to build himself to get one big title fight by the time he's sort of 37, 38. We've got to remember these are heavyweights. These guys retire older anyway.
I don't. Povetkin's 38, but what I'm saying is that if he's built correctly in the next year and a half to 2 years, if he doesn't lose, he could get a world title shot. Providing that it all depends on the landscape of the heavyweights. Because if Joshua's got all the belts, and or Wilder's got a place, he's not going to get in with them, is he?
No,
I don't see it happening. So they've got to pick it right. They've got to make sure that one fighter's vacated the title. It's just a little bit of luck. Like the luck David Hay had when he fought Valuer. That sort of luck.
Indeed, I think he can do it, but they've got to build him the right way, like you say. Derek Chisora is a great fight for him. Then I'd look to fight the likes of Ajit Kabayel, Dillian White, someone like that. Taking that route.
He could win it, but it wouldn't be easy for him.
No, it's a good fight, but he's got a bit. It's a bit like Lomachenko. Lomachenko went into tough fights early, and he lost one.
Oh yeah,
and that might happen to Joe Joyce because he's got to go in at the deep end because he hasn't got much time.
Yeah, and the clock is ticking.
So I just want to say, everybody is talking about this fight, and everyone is saying Moses won the fight. Those judges are shitholes. 117, 111. What the fuck are the judges looking at? Shame to the judges of this fight. Moses won clearly. So yeah, I think a lot of people were properly angry about this fight. I can't see people talking about the knockdowns. I don't think I remember them, but I know Moses was looking good in there for large periods of the fight. He cut Beltran up badly. Beltran's face is a mess by the end. So unanimous decisions, very odd, very wide scorecards. I remember now. It wasn't so much that it was a definite robbery, but it's like 117, 111 is just fucking wild score. So yeah, sorry. Back to the UK card. Isaac Lowe versus Walsh. Did you see this fight?
I didn't know.
Now this fight I watched. It was a draw apparently, and you had the Walsh brothers after the fight moaning like hell that they thought they won the fight clearly. But personally, I had Isaac Lowe winning by a couple of rounds. I felt he was just getting off cleaner shots. He had the better jab. He just had the better work in there for me. I felt he won more rounds. It was a close fight. There were a lot of close rounds. But I personally felt Isaac Lowe was the winner. But a draw is kind of fair enough. I can kind of see that in some... I can see the best possible interpretation. Like, a draw isn't unfair. So they can fight again, and it would be an interesting fight again to watch. So yeah, it was a good fight for me. I felt Isaac Lowe won by 2 rounds maybe, but yeah, it's one you should probably go back and watch and give me your thoughts on the next podcast, because I quite like Isaac Lowe. I think he's quite good. I think he can certainly go on to European level, maybe get a cheeky world title if he finds a free belt or something, but we'll have to wait and see for that one. Arnfield Langford. Did you happen to see that one?
I saw about 5 or 6 rounds of it. Langford put on a good performance. That's the best I've ever seen him box.
Yes, I agree. I was surprised. I thought Arnfield coming into this fight was the far superior boxer. In previous fights, I think we can both agree he has probably been the far superior boxer, but Langford boxed out of his skin. He looked great. I felt it was a little bit wide to Langford, but at the end of the day, I couldn't really complain with the result. Both guys put on a great fight. Arnfield didn't really disgrace himself, but we've always known that he's kind of British level. Langford might be European level.
He might be European. Yeah, I think he's got some potential.
He has.
I mean, how old is he now? 28 now?
Yeah, if he can put that performance on again in a European level fight, he could win a European title. So, yeah, after his knockout loss, I was a bit harsh on him, but that was a good victory. That was a good comeback, good victory. And I'm more excited to watch Langford fight again than I've ever been before. So
the thing I like about Langford is that he's 28. He's in a prime position. He had that world title shot, interim world title shot. He failed. He can come again.
How about Langford Eubank Jr.?
Yeah, that would be great. I think I'd still pick Eubank to win it.
Sure, same. I think so too. But it'd still be a good fight.
But when you hear Frank Warren, did you hear? There was an interview I watched with him yesterday. He doesn't build Langford up to be something he's not. He's realistic with Langford, you know.
Sure.
That's what, you know.
Well, it's good. Anyway, you have to be. After the loss as well, like, you have to be realistic, because Kurtzidis isn't an elite power puncher, and he knocked out Langford hard. So Langford has to be matched carefully a little bit at this point, I think. But yeah, it was a great performance from Langford. I was very impressed with him.
We forgot the Eubank fight. We're doing that last.
We're coming up to it right now.
Okay.
Yes. And so now we come, pardon me, to quite possibly, I think, the most watched fight of the weekend, the most talked about fight of the weekend. Certainly for the UK fans, no doubt. I personally think probably worldwide as well. Eubank Jr. versus George Groves. Quite a definitive win for George Groves, in my opinion. I had it probably. I kind of agreed with the 117, 111 judge in this fight. I gave Eubank Jr. 3 rounds, maybe 4, if I'm being really kind, really kind. George Groves kind of set out the jab early, set the range early, and Eubank Jr. sort of, for the first 2 rounds, I expected him to do exactly what he did, which was not come in and pressure Groves, like to try and box with him a little bit. After those 2 rounds, I expected for him to come steaming in, charging in, bum rushing Groves far more, and he didn't. He felt really. The power. I think he might. Yeah, I think he felt the power.
The first round. Did you see the first 40 seconds, 50 seconds of the fight? Did you see Groves take a shot? Not Groves.
Yeah.
Eubank took a shot. You saw the power. You see the look on Eubank's body language.
Yeah.
And I thought we might have nearly knocked him.
In round 2, there was a flash knockdown as well that was not counted. I've sent a picture of it to a Baron. You see Groves land with a chopping right, and Eubank's knee touches down really quickly, very quickly. But if your knee touches the canvas, that is actually a knockdown. So, yeah, there might have been another knockdown later on in the fight as well, actually. but it could have been a push. So it's kind of hard to see in the replay.
That Groves lasted the 12 rounds without gassing out really badly.
It's Eubank Jr.'s fault, actually. I think his game plan was just so bad. There were two things that he needed to do. He needed to step on Groves early and often and make Groves work through rounds 1 to 6 as much as Groves had to work in the Chudinov fight or in the Cox fight. If Eubank had stepped on the gas really early, maybe he could have tired Groves out. But he kind of allowed Groves to dictate from range for the first 6, 7 rounds. And because of that, it meant Groves had a lot in the tank left for the end of the fight.
Yeah, it was a good fight. I enjoyed it. I think Eubank's been exposed now. So for Groves, anyway, Groves has got a hell of a career. Nobody's given him that much credit. Have you noticed this? Groves hasn't really been talking about Eubank.
I have to give him a lot of credit. I think Eubank Jr. was poor in there, but Groves was class. His jab is still as good as it ever was. I think his chin, he got hit a few times. You could see in the 30-minute interview with IFL the next day, his eye was pretty black. So he obviously took some shots in there, but he made Eubank Jr. miss a lot as well. And
you can tell that Groves, from the experience of 4 years ago, that made him a better fighter. Those losses to Carl.
100%. 100%. And that's what Groves actually said in the 30-minute interview. He was like, look, Eubank Jr., if he knows, if he takes this the right way, he can do what I did. And he didn't say those words exactly, but, you know, it's a tough loss. The only problem is, it's a loss, and Ultratech Sports Raw said this on his YouTube channel. Shout out to him. It did feel like watching the Billy Joe Saunders fight all over again, where the better boxer is winning the early rounds and then Eubank Jr. comes on strong late. But in this fight, he just left it far, far too late. He came on in round 7 or 8.
If he'd come on earlier,
that's what I mean.
Round, you saw how furious he was in the 12th round. If he'd done that 4 rounds earlier, he could have got the knockout.
If he'd have done it from round 1, he would have maybe been a lot better off. But like you say, he might have felt the power and he didn't want to risk it. I said that in the build-up to the fight, that this isn't a fight where he can jump in wildly as often. And he still did it a lot, and he got caught doing it a lot. So I think the post-fight interview was telling, because Eubank Jr. talked about how much bigger Groves was than him and how much every shot hurt. And you can kind of tell that you know, he wouldn't just say that. It's obviously true, but it's his own fault for moving up to super middleweight too early, in my opinion. What he needs to
do now is tell his dad to go away and just get trained by Rob McCracken, go to America, go back to Eddie Hearn and say, look, I made a mistake.
Actually completely agree with Rob McCracken. That's what I said to Stay Robinson, because Eubank is he's never going to be a boxer. He's a fighter, like Froch was. And you could teach Eubank to at least fight as cleverly as Froch did if Rob McCracken trained him the same way. So I agree. I think Rob.
The main problem isn't Eubank Jr., it's his dad. His dad is caused.
This isn't what I hear, though. This is not what I hear. This is not what I hear. I also hear that Eubank Jr. will not listen to anyone. So remember,
not even his dad. Not even his dad. Well,
he'll listen to his dad, but remember, they tried to get Adam Booth as their trainer, and then Adam Booth left them after a day because they're fucking nuts. And that's the problem, is that neither senior nor junior. You have to remember, Junior's been around his dad his entire life. He's been brought up he's
manipulated by him. He's manipulated by his dad. You can see it.
In many ways, sure, but it's more that they're just cut from the same cloth. They have the same way of thinking about stuff.
Because Eubank got rid of all his money. You know, he went bankrupt. I think he's putting pressure on his son, so his son feels like he's got to get it all back. He's got to be better than his dad. He's putting too much pressure on himself. He just needs to take a step back, get away from his dad for a year or so, do what he needs to do, go on some undercards. He'll come back a better fighter. If he doesn't do it the next year, he's doomed. You know.
He needs to find a trainer like Rob McCracken who can teach him. He's never going to be a good boxer, but he can be a very clever fighter. And Rob McCracken can teach him the same stuff Froch used to do in there to at least not lose rounds to brilliant boxers. You know what I mean?
He could still win a world title if he fights the right sort of person.
Sure.
You know, a vacant belt. But he won't be remembered in the same breath as his father. We need
no. Well, at the moment, he will be, actually. Because if you think about it, every time Eubank Sr. stepped up to elite boxers, he lost.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is that
at the moment,
Eubank
he will be remembered.
Position. He's in a high position because of his surname. You know, he's a good fighter, but the surname helped get him in the Super Series.
Oh, 100%.
If his name was Chris Ross, no one would give a shit. So we have to remember, you know, Eubank's talented.
I don't know if his name was Chris Ross and he went into hang on though. If his name was Chris Ross and he beat Arthur Abraham to get into the World Boxing Super Series, and then he beat up Yildirim, knocked out Yildirim in stunning fashion, he'd have some fans. He would still be an interesting fighter, but I do agree with you that he wouldn't be as famous. So I agree with that.
Jr., a lot of people are reliving watching Eubank Senior's career through his son.
100%.
And that's what it is for me, because I watched Eubank Senior a little bit. I'm living it through his son. Does that make any sense?
Sure. It's like nostalgia. It's like, yeah.
Like if Mike Tyson had a son say, you're watching, you're not watching it for the son, you're watching it for the name, and you want to remember the original version of that Mike Tyson. Do you see what I mean? That's all it is.
Sure.
People want to relive it through this guy, and it's not working.
Well, it's working. It is working because Eubank Senior lost every time he fought good boxers too.
Yeah. But you can't make Eubank Jr.'s next fight a pay-per-view. There's no way in hell people are going to pay for it.
No way. He has to go. But you do remember they're on. You do remember they're on ITV, so he can fight on ITV, and he'll get a lot of viewers.
And people are going to pay to watch him fight some guy from Yugoslavia.
No. But they won't do pay-per-view for his next fight. No way.
He has to get back on. He has to get on the David Hay undercard, you know, when on the Sky undercard. That'd be perfect for him. But he needs to step back down to European level, or go back down to middleweight and go back down to European level and start again.
I agree. I think he needs to go back down to middleweight. Groves is not even the biggest 168-pounder out there, and he was far too big for Eubank.
Groves is near the in the next year or two, or the next 2 years, Groves will retire.
I think I agree, but I also think that next year there will be a tournament for the WBSS at 175 pounds, and I think Groves. I think Groves will be in it at 175 pounds as well.
I don't think he'd do well against Stevenson, do you?
Yes, I think he'd do fine, and I also think he'd have a great rematch with Badu Jack at 175. Yeah, it'd be interesting because he wouldn't be weight drained, and so
he wouldn't be able to. He wouldn't beat Kovalov. I'm being honest, he wouldn't.
He might. One, I don't know, man. I don't know. He might well.
Him against Triple G would be a good fight.
But Triple G's a bit small for that. Triple G has never ever wanted to go up to 168 because
I don't blame him.
He's quite small for a one. He's about an average size 160, isn't he? He's not a big 160, so I wouldn't think he wants to move up to 168 and fight Groves, or because I remember Martin Murray saying many times, "Oh no, Golovkin's not the hardest puncher I've ever fought. George Groves is. Because,
That's crazy.
well, it makes sense because George
He
Groves
does.
is
He's
like
big. Yeah.
he's
He's like
he's a
heavyweight.
175 who boils down to 168 really. And so it makes a lot of sense actually. But
with Groves in his career, what I'm so impressed with that when he started pro 10 or 11 years ago, whenever it was, when he had that fight with James DeGale, the way he's come up, the way he took those losses, and the way he came back, proves what a great champion he is. You know.
Mm.
But then,
and the British love an underdog story. If you lose, you suffer adversity, you come back and make something of yourself. The British public will always respond to that very well. And I think George Groves will sell a shit ton of tickets if he fights in London next, for example. He should do. I think if he's in the final, they should really try and make that in London. But I know I think they've already said it for somewhere. I'd need to check.
Okay. Are we about done with that then? There's other stuff I wanted to bring up. Oh yeah,
well,
some other news development has come, hasn't it?
Yes. So we got a Baron
Yeah,
has
right.
sent me this, and you've sent me this, and I've got it up on my internet here. Jurgen Bremer to pull out of WBSS semi-final versus Callum Smith with replacement ready for right to face George Groves. Basically, he's had a cold that he thought he'd beaten and he'd got over it, but it's come back with a massive vengeance, so he can't fight on the weekend, which is an absolute shame. But so you've also sent me the replacement, and shout out to Baron Singh, he sent me it too. Nike Holzken is being considered as his replacement. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. And he's 13 and
Oh, I better not play this video on the Sun, or they might try and take down they'll try and take down our podcast.
Oh,
Fuck the Sun. Yeah. So Nike Holzken, I'm just bringing up his box rec here.
But he was scheduled to fight Dmitry Chardinov, who was a Eubank victim. So he's pulled out of that, and then apparently he's a replacement. 13 and 0, ranked 23 in box rec, number 1 super middleweight in Holland, and his record reads, "I've beaten nobody."
It's a bit of a shame, actually. Like, so what I heard the other day is that, so you know, this is a fight we didn't actually talk about. We can quickly mention it here. Zach Parker had quite a good win on one of the British cards over the weekend, and what I heard on the ITV pay-per-view commentary team was, if Eubank Jr. or Groves had got injured, he was the replacement for that fight. And so I was hoping he'd still be the replacement for this fight. But obviously, because he fought on the card last week, he can't fight again 1 week later. So it's a bit of a shame, really, because I think Zach Parker would have been a far better replacement.
I'll be back in a second. I've just got to quickly go and get a drink.
Sure, man. I'm going to bring up...
Then we'll move on to the next fight in a second.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up Zach Parker's record quickly as well. Yeah, so Zach Parker is 15 and 0. He's 23, and he's beaten Luke Blackledge, and he's beaten Adesat Rodriguez last on the weekend, but he hasn't beaten many other people. And to be fair, Nikki Holzken is rated a lot higher in the world rankings. So I suppose it's fair enough. Oh, John Ryder would have been a great replacement, though. That's a shame. John Ryder. Who else have we got? Let's look at the top. Yeah, that is a real shame, actually. So, I mean, I personally think they really should have tried to get Caleb Truex.
Hello.
Hello,
Right.
bro. Hello, man.
Yeah. So
I'm just looking at possible replacements. So we could have had Zach Parker, but obviously he fought on the 17th, so he's not going to be ready. I personally think John Ryder would have been a good pick for a replacement. He's coming off a good win against Patrick Nielsen.
yeah, go back to the top 10 of the super middleweights in the world.
Yeah, sure. Tyrone Zoiga, maybe.
He would have been perfect. That would have been easier to make, wouldn't it? That fight?
Sure.
Because they're
Caleb
stablemates.
Caleb Truex could have brought
He hasn't
him
had
in.
enough time. He would have been great.
I think he's had enough. He's had enough time. Oh no, he fought on. Yeah, no,
top
he's
10,
not
and
had enough
I'll
time.
pick out a name. Tyrone Zeig would have been an okay name, you know.
Yeah.
Or Julio Cesar Chavez would. That's a joke.
He's 16.
Yeah, John Ray. Jose Kitsky would have been a good replacement, I think.
Yeah, Jose is Cat's guy. John Ryder would have been all right. Even Rocky Fielding would have been all right.
Yeah.
Caleb Truex, Fedor Chudanov again.
Peter Quillen's further down the list. He would have been all right.
Yeah, Peter Quillen. You're right. Yeah. Caleb Plant had a win this weekend as well, so he couldn't. Yeah, he fought on the card. He beat.
Yeah. Do you know what really hurts his tournament?
Medina. I need to go back and watch that fight.
What really hurts his tournament? You haven't got Ramirez or Benavidez or Truex involved in it. Do you know
Sure.
what I mean? Ramirez, who I believe is the best 168-pound fighter in the world.
I think George Groves probably knocks him out, to be honest.
Callum Smith, I think whoever he would have beaten Bramer anyway. And I think, because how tall is Callum Smith? 6'4"?
6'4", yeah.
And how tall is George Groves? 5'10"?
No, George Groves is quite tall. He's not. He's above 6 foot, or at least 6 foot. Let me check.
He's about 5'10".
No, that's Eubanks 5'10". Groves is 5'11" and a half, basically 6 foot.
This is going to be like seeing a light heavyweight fight a super middleweight. This is going to be a good fight. If Callum Smith goes through and George Groves turns, I hope George Groves is fit for the final. I don't want to see Callum Smith fight some guy who we've never heard of. You know
that would be a bummer, man. That would be a bummer. I really don't like. I don't like that they've had to go all the way down to the 23rd ranked in the world for a tournament that only is supposed to have like the top 8 people. And I really think they should have tried to get, someone from the top 15. I think Tyrone Zoiga would have been the best person to. Isn't he already signed to Calla Sauerland?
I believe yes, he is. He's a stablemate of George Groves, so that would be an easy fight to make. And plus,
he has a fight. The problem is he actually has to defend his super middleweight title.
But he's only a regular. He's only got the regulars, so the WBA would make it.
No, he's got the world super middleweight title.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he has the regular version.
No,
George Groves is the WBA super. Think
shit! Yeah. WBA super world super middleweight. Yeah, fucking hell. I get confused. But no, they won't make an exception. He has to fight Isaac. I remember he has to fight Isaac Ekpo. I'm not sure why he has to.
So I look at it, if he fought Callum Smith and loses to Callum Smith, then Callum Smith they dissolve the belt into one big fight, one big belt.
Sure.
The WBA Super. So it makes sense.
I really think they should have, as soon as Caleb Truex beat James DeHale, they should have called him up and got him on standby. Even if they have to delay the fight 1 month, that's not too long, is it? We can wait 1 month.
Would make more money fighting Isaac Ekpo or whatever his bloody name is.
It's true. Well, he has to fight Isaac Ekpo. I think he literally has to keep the belt. So yeah, it's one of those ones. Once you've already scheduled the fight and you've started selling tickets, it's very hard to cancel the fight moved the fight to England. Like it's all a bit late for that, but
I wish
it's
the WBA
interesting.
would sort themselves out.
Yeah,
That's all I'm going to say.
it is a bummer. It is a bummer. Right, let's have a look at. There's one more news article. Oh no, that was it, wasn't it? That was it.
No,
That was
Huey
everything.
Fury against Sam Sexton has been ordered.
Oh yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting fight. So we're going to take a little look at Sam Sexton's record because earlier we saw him on Derek Chisora's record, and that was funny. So yeah, he's going to be fighting Huey Fury on the 12th of May. It looks like. Wow, it's going to be in Belgium.
What?
Oh no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. No, no. There's another card on in Belgium on the same night. It's going to be in Bolton White's hotel, formerly De Vere White's. Sam Sexton versus Huey Fury. There's no undercard yet, so I can't see anything there.
Some Channel 5, so that's a bonus.
That is a bonus, yeah. So obviously Sexton beat Cornish for the British title, and now Huey Fury is going to beat Sam Sexton for the British title. So it's not a fight I'm super excited for. I'm happy to see Huey Fury back. I'm happy to see him back in a title fight. That's good. But Sam Sexton really is just a title holder, isn't he? He's not a champion of any caliber.
Which is a shame, but but this for me, for Fury, this is the right kind of move because it gets him down a level, it gets him some sort of a belt.
Exactly.
And he can build himself up again. It's going to be a long build, isn't it? It's not going to be an easy build.
No, it's not going to be easy because no one wants to fight him. But I think this is a good fight. I think it's going to force people to fight him. Like he's now going to be able to get at least good British level fights with that title. I think Sam Sexton was unfortunate because whoever he faced next was going to take this belt off him, really. Whether it was Daniel Dubois, Huey Fury, Nathan Gorman, he was a bit unfortunate that he had no easy defenses.
Yeah, it's crazy. What is the cards for next week? Before we go, I wanted you quickly search through what's on next weekend. The cards.
Okay, that's not a bad idea.
And we can see what we got them.
There's nothing.
There's nothing. Right, we can have questions on.
Hang on. Okay. Well, just I'm going back to BoxRec's homepage. Schedule. No, there really doesn't seem to be anything great. Let's keep looking though.
Is a Baron still watching? Because
there is. So there is one fight in the UK. Sports boxing. Is a Baron still watching? He can ask questions. Sure, if he's still watching, he can feel free to. Lewis Ritson fights Joe Murray on Sunday, the 25th of February. That's Sky Sports. That's quite a good fight. I like Lewis Ritson. He was in my Prospect of the Year category when we did that. And Jordan Gill versus Jason.
Is this a next gen card?
No, this is Sky Sports card, but yeah, it's not a great card, but I do like Lewis Ritson, so I will definitely tune in for that British lightweight title fight. I think Lewis Ritson's got a good future in the sport, so I'm always interested to watch up and coming prospects. And then let me check Box Nation as well. I don't think they have any. Oh yeah, 24th Friday. Yard fights Avalon and Dubois fights Jones for the Southern Area heavyweight title.
Some of these boxing. Before we go, I just want to talk about boxing as it stands now. In this country, we've got some great champions now, and we've had a great couple of years in British boxing. Things are only getting better, and I believe Callum Smith is that superstar. That will be the next superstar. Maybe I'm wrong.
Callum Smith.
Yeah.
I think You could be right, but I don't think he's got. I don't think he has the star power about him.
He
He could.
doesn't, but he's got
He
something
could be
about
in.
him. You know?
He could be in terms of the boxing ring. I don't disagree. He could be our next major talent, but I personally think, uh, at the moment, there's a few guys. You've got Zach Parker,
Yeah.
obviously Josh Taylor, Lewis Ritson. There was another guy. There's another guy as well from Ireland who's doing all right as well that I quite like. But yeah, we got. I'm looking forward to next week's boxing. We got prospects. We'll discuss the Anthony Yard fight. We'll discuss the Lewis Ritson fight, and we'll look ahead to the big boxing that's coming up in March.
It's looking good, isn't it? Really, I mean.
For sure, for sure. I'm excited. We've obviously got. I mean, so obviously the Callum Smith fight is supposed to be happening next weekend as well, but I'm far less excited for that now that the opponent's
because
been
of the guy
replaced.
who's fighting you.
Yeah,
It's just it brings a real downer on it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it's starting to resemble the Super Six. We know when we had all those pull-outs.
It is a shame, and it's why people don't do tournaments so much. I think in boxing, I don't know if you noticed today, but the WBC have announced a welterweight tournament. Let me pull that up. Welterweight tournament. This can be our final bit of news. 8 fighters announced for the WBC welterweight tournament.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. Fighters selected for the tournament include former world title challenger Felix Diaz, South African native Chris Van Heerden, world ranked contender Frederick Lawson, undefeated Russian prospect Radzab Butiev. Also included are Brad Solomon, Timo Schwarzkopf, Derek Quivas, and Baishanabu Nashiwula of Urukmai, China. So yeah, it's an interesting little tournament. 4 alternatives have also agreed to participate in the case of injury. One of the participants, including Mexico's Mauricio Pinta, Paddy Gallagher of Belfast, and Sergei Lubkovich of Russia. So yeah. Oh, and Francisco Santana. So yeah, there's an 8-man tournament for the WBC at welterweight, and I believe the winner gets a shot at the world title.
That's good. I mean, I'm glad people are taking, the initiative to have more tournaments.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's a good way of people get interested in the tournament format, don't they? We've seen it this time round. It is a shame for injuries,
but the WBC, you know what I think of the WBC.
Sure, they're crazy with all their belts, and they just give people random shots like Wilder versus Stavern 2. That's the worst decision an organisational body has made in a long time.
But looking at the fighters in this tournament, Felix Diaz obviously, and
he'll probably win. Yeah, I'd probably pick Felix Diaz.
It's not a great tournament, is it?
No.
Timo Schwarzkopf is a guy who's beaten Junior Witter.
Yeah.
So really, this kind of tells you
it's an all right.
It's not going to be a great tournament.
No, it's all right though. Like, it is good to do tournaments for final eliminators and stuff. I don't mind it. All of these guys need to be fighting. They need fights, so I'll watch some of it if it's if it's easy to view and stuff. It's more boxing is good for the sport. I'm happy to see such a tournament. But yeah, it's weird for organizational bodies to do a tournament as such, because what if one of those guys what if Felix Diaz gets offered like 30 million to fight? Wait, it's not going to happen. But what if he gets offered 10 million to fight for the WBA? He can't do it because he's in the WBC tournament. So I find the World Boxing Super Series a better way of doing tournaments where you can bring whatever belt you already have with you. I think that's a much better way of doing it, to be honest. But anyway,
I agree.
We'll leave it there for this week, man. It's been good having you on. We discussed everything, I think. If there's any fights we missed or anything anybody wants to comment on, please leave it down below. Subscribe. I've left the links to Facebook and Twitter in the description, so please feel free to click those too. And
I've got one thing to say to Baron Singh. Pakistan boxing. That one.
Peace, everyone. Have a great week, and we'll see you again either this time next week or maybe Monday. Peace out.